WOKD, Winter Garden, Orlando.
Welcome to another edition of Real Family Talk. Hello. Welcome to another week of Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. Hope everybody's having a great evening out there. It is Tuesday night, 9 p.m. It is the showtime. Real Family Talk is here. Again, this is your host, Jay Real. I hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. In Orlando, we're having a great evening. Great weather today, no rain. Nice little cool breeze outside this evening. Just pleasant weather all around in Orlando today. So I'm having a good day. As always, it's Tuesday night, y'all. I got my co-host in the building. Jeremy's behind the boards over there. How you doing tonight, Jeremy?
I'm good. How's everybody doing? Real good. I just left Bible study. I got a word in me, so.
Oh, okay. Right. We might have to let you get your word out, brother.
Yeah. Well, I ain't say in me. I'm sorry. I got a word. I mean, when I say in me, I mean I received something. I don't mean I had something to necessarily let out.
Okay.
I'll leave the preaching to the preachers.
Preaching to the preachers, huh? And Ms. McCrae's in the building. How you doing, Ms. McCrae?
I'm blessed. What's up, people?
Awesome. So a couple good topics tonight. Of course, this is National Child Abuse Month. So we're going to highlight a particular case that happened recently with a dad and whipping his children. We're going to talk about that in honor of that, as well as there was a bill passed in the Florida House this week that I think is pretty interesting, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding it. And so I kind of wanted to throw it out there. Maybe you have heard, maybe you haven't heard about the bill. It's Bill HB 867 is what they call it. HB 867 is what they call it. So we're going to have some talk about that and sort of its impact, what we think about that as well. But real quick, I always like to throw some news nuggets out there. I read this week the president is going to cut 5% of his salary for at least the time period until they can work out some of the issues. Some of the federal workers are having to cut 5% of their salary as a part of the sequester issue that's out there. And so he decided he was going to cut 5% of his as well as a show of, I guess, camaraderie, if you will. They're cutting theirs, so I'm going to cut mine. When I first read it, I was like, wow, okay, that's respectable. But then I did the math. And then that's when I was like, yeah. Okay. So do the math. The president makes about $400,000 a year is what the president makes. And he's going to cut 5% of his salary. So then I broke it down, right? Because that doesn't mean a whole lot. So I broke it down by month. So he makes approximately $33,000 a month. And so he says he's cutting 5%. So 5% of $33,000 is approximately $1,700. So he's still going to make $31,000 a month. And then I thought, well, 5% don't seem that bad. 5%. If I'm only losing $1,700 of my $30,000, I think I can live and find a way to live in the White House off $31,000 a month. You think you can manage that, Ms. McCrae, if you only had $31,000 to manage? Do you think you'd be struggling with that one?
$31,000 a month?
A month, yeah.
No, I don't think I'll be struggling.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all.
What about you, Jeremy? Jeremy, would you have a problem living off that $31,000 a month, man?
Yeah, if I was supposed to be making $33,000.
Wait a minute.
I applaud our president for taking this generous pay decrease.
Generous, huh?
I mean, generous enough for him. I mean, he didn't have to do it.
No, he did not have to do it.
That's what I mean. That's my point. He didn't have to do it. He chose to. He
did choose to do something. So that wasn't required.
A 5% that I'm sure was going into the savings account, maybe a college fund. I don't know. So
maybe, but he's living free in the White House, so that's really all his.
That's what I'm saying. 33 savings. That's what I'm saying.
31. But again, I'll give you that he did do something that he didn't have to do. But again, when you use the numbers just don't, it doesn't seem as impressive when you think about the numbers. That's all I'm saying. But I'll leave that alone. When I read it, like I said, it caught my attention. Wow, he's taking a pay cut. And then I was like, oh, He's only losing 1,700 of his 33,000. Well, okay. I don't know, Mr. Cray. That's just how I saw it when I read it, Mr.
Of
Cray.
course, you take issue with that, J.
407.
Real. I mean, the man can't do nothing right in your eyes. Nothing.
407-894-1680. 407-894-1680 is the number. 31,000. Let's jump right into tonight's topic. I think this should be a good one. So recently, there's been a video circulating on the internet about a man who was using a cord. As it turns out, he was using a cord that you plug in your television and your cable box, perhaps, or maybe your television and your VCR, one of those AV plug cords. And he used that cord to whoop his daughters, and he videotaped it, uploaded the video, or at least someone videotaped it, uploaded the video. So the video shows, which you can find, I had put a link up on the website if you haven't seen it, RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com, RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com. Put a video link up there with the man whipping his daughters with this cord. Now, why is he whipping the daughters? He's whipping the daughters because apparently the two girls decided to upload a video of them twerking. And for those that aren't familiar with that word, break it down for me. What's twerking, Jeremy?
Let's just say it's not anything you would want your grown daughter doing. So let alone, 12 or 13-year-old daughter doing, or at least not on video.
Okay. All right.
At all.
At all. Especially not uploading on video.
Right.
So basically gyrating very suggestively with
Booty
their body.
dancing.
Yeah, booty dancing. There you go. So they were twerking, and they took a video, uploaded on Facebook. Then, of course, the father found out. And after he found out, the result was this video that shows him whipping these girls with a cord. And so in the video, you see them, screaming as you would expect somebody to scream. They were getting a whooping, let alone getting a whooping with a cord. So as a result of the video, the dad now has been arrested. The mother apparently, I guess it turns out the mother and father are, at least they don't live together. And so when the mom saw what he had done to the girls, she ended up calling the cops on him. Cops arrested him, and they're planning to charge him with corporal punishment. So that's what happened as a result of the video. But my first question is, does anybody really see a problem with the whooping that these girls took for their particular act? That's my first question. Does anybody see a problem with the whooping these girls took as a result of their actions? 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. So again, what was the situation? The girls uploaded a video of themselves basically sexually suggestive dancing onto Facebook. Dad found out. He basically took a cord, an extension cord like device, an AV plug cord in this case specifically, and then he proceeded to give them a whooping. Videotaped it, and of course now he's going to get charged with corporal punishment apparently. But my first question is, does anybody really have a problem with his behavior? 407-894-1680 is the number. Miss McCray, you're over here smiling. They can't see you smiling at me on the air, but Miss McCray, what you smiling about?
You know what? I saw the video, and the hardest part of it was hearing them scream. And I think that's what has everybody in an uproar. Like, they're crying bloody murder with these screams. And that's hard to listen to. I come from the generation of having whoopings. My parents, they didn't beat me down. But, yeah, when I was stepping out of line, a fly swatter, a shoe, whatever the case may be, mom and dad, I know y'all loved me. It's okay. But I got the point. I didn't do whatever it was they told me not to do. Now, this dad, he didn't want his daughters to be the HOEs on the internet, in the neighborhood.
No, he does not.
On one hand, he's being the dad. He's like, oh, no. Y'all not going to be doing that in my house. Y'all are my daughters. I don't want you to be that girl. Did he take it too far? The second girl, he did hit on like a lot. Like, I got maybe 1, 2, 3 hits, and then it's like, okay, did you learn your lesson? Yes, I learned my lesson. He went about 10 times with a cord.
Well, can I?
And
let me
again,
interject.
if you haven't seen the video, go to the website realfamilytalk.weebly.com. Check out J Real's blogs, and you can find the video. realfamilytalk.weebly.com. Check out J Real's blog, and you can find the video. Again, 407-894-1680 is the number. Go ahead, sir.
No, I was saying, just if I may interject, sometimes the one who probably turned the camera on
Right.
and came with the idea.
You did it.
You got to get that one just a little more, because you're trying to, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're trying to beat that a little bit, not all the creativity, but just a little creativity out of it. We're like, now, it's all right to be creative, but it's only so far we need to go, at least at this age.
I agree. So I take it, so you don't have a problem with the whipping.
No, sir. No, sir.
Now,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't see the video because I didn't need to. I saw the caption, and then that was enough for me. It said twerking, and at 12 and 13.
Right.
Come on now.
And you two have daughters.
I got a daughter, and my daughter's 18. Well, if she was staying in my house when she was 18, and she put a video twerking, I might come with the court too. Like, hold on now. Well, you shot a video in my house? This is what we do in my house. No, we can't have that. No, we can't have it.
I agree, man. I agree. And, me and Jeremy are brothers. We've talked about that before. And, I've had the extension cord whooping, so I know exactly.
Yes, sir. We've had that.
I know exactly what it feels like.
I've seen it happen. I don't think I got an extension cord, but I've seen it happen.
And I've had it a little more than he has.
Oh.
But deserved. Well deserved, I might say.
You were the mischievous one?
I would say this. I was more outspoken.
Okay.
But don't get it twisted now. Don't think this one here. You know what I'm saying?
And again, like you said, when you watch the video, if you see it, they are screaming and, they are kind of loud. But, it's a whooping. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a whooping.
It's a whooping. You're going to holler.
And I'm sure from experience, I can tell you, I know it hurt.
Yeah.
And if you saw that brother swinging, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He wasn't swinging. Oh, stop. There was some power behind that swing. And so, I know it hurt, and I agree with my brother here. When you think about what they were doing, especially at the age that they were doing that, you got to catch that stuff early. And my main fault that I find in this whole process really is the actual recording. Like, really, we're still recording this stuff in 2013.
That's the problem. Who recorded it and then who uploaded it?
Right, exactly. Who recorded it? Who uploaded it to the internet? As if there wasn't going to be any repercussions from this. This is 2013. We live in a very, very PC society these days. And very few things are tolerated, I think, the way that they used to be. I think, you see this video 15, 20 years ago, and I think you have, everybody applauding what this dad did 15, 20 years ago. But in today's society, it's like, they balk at the idea of a child getting whoopings half the time, let alone, of course, the way that he took it. Which is very interesting, the change that's happened in society. And this whole idea that, somehow giving a whooping is somehow, going to hurt a child mentally, physically. Well, obviously it's going to hurt physically, but mentally and emotionally, they're now going to be scarred because they got whoopings. I got whoopings all my life. and I don't feel scarred. I don't feel mentally abused. I don't feel emotionally hurt. And that's not to say, that this can't happen.
Right.
But the idea that this is the inevitable, I challenge that school of thought that this is the inevitable. And I even wonder, where did the change happen? You know what I mean? Where did that idea that whooping the child is now wrong? 407-894-1680 is the number. You guys tell me what you think. What you thinking out there in radio land today? Is it wrong? Is this man wrong? Should we be abandoning whoopings altogether? What's the thoughts? 407-894-1680. You want to say something, sir?
Yes, I would like to say I was scarred through the whoopings. Scarred enough not to spending a significant time in jail,
Right.
scarred enough to go to school and act like I had some sense,
Right.
you know, scarred enough, just to not be lying, at least not to my parents.
Right.
So yeah, you gonna be scarred, but you gonna be scarred to do some right things, as opposed to so many wrong things. Now, there is a line, and then it depends on your child too. Some childs, the belt is what teaches them. Other childs, you just got to talk to them. But some of them, they just don't want to listen. And you break that belt out, the ears go up. Ain't no wax in there no more.
No.
Everything just becomes so clear. It's like, oh, that's what you were saying.
Yes. Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't
before.
realize that. Now I see.
Or the switch, brother. The switch is as effective.
Oh, no, the switch is a beast in itself.
And what's so bad is when my grandmother, she go outside and make you pick the switch.
You got to pick the switch.
Did you get the wrong one?
I got the wrong one.
Uh-oh.
And so,
Uh-oh.
Nope, that's not the one I want. Go back out and get me a right one, and you better come back with the right one. But did we do whatever we got in trouble for? Again, not at all.
Mm-mm. And if we did, we didn't get caught.
And not to say, now that they're talking about abuse, and what it looks like is the mother saw the welts, and one of the girls did have an open cut. Okay, that's a lot. That's too much.
But a court's going to do that.
A court is going to do that. But I get it. And then she called the police and made a report. But again, who put the video up? But I'm wondering what was the mother's stance on knowing her daughters just made these 2 videos, or this video of them shaking their butts.
But they also say it was another issue too, that part of it was because they snuck out the house. Again, which is probably why one of them got the 10 licks. Because, she was the one that opened the window.
The leader.
Now, come on now. Sneak at the house at 12 or 13, and you a father, your daughter ain't sneak at the house to go to the store.
No.
You only sneak at the house for one thing. 9 times out of 10, you going to see some boy.
Trouble.
Exactly.
Trouble.
So sometimes, like I say, I didn't watch it, so I don't know if the open wound cut was an excessive blow. But but this was one of my issues with the thing, though. Let's say, that's the whole thing. They came back saying, oh, they were sneaking out the house. So here's my thing: if they were sneaking out the house, right, and they went to commit a crime or something, what's the first thing they'll say? What were their parents?
Well, the parents. The daddy let them
So he snuck
out
out the house. They got caught. He whooped them, but now he's in trouble. But if they snuck out the house, whooping somebody, and somebody ended up dead, robbing somebody or doing whatever, then they would come asking them, well, then I'm quite sure the mama was asking, well, why wasn't you watching him? Yeah, he was watching them.
Yeah.
So that's, it's always that double-edged sword with the law. Okay, they want you to watch the kids and want you to be disciplinary of them, but then, oh, no, but you can't do that.
I think it just goes too far when it comes to recording, putting it on a video.
Now that wasn't the brightest idea.
Not at all.
And that's
not at all.
And that's where the problem comes into play. You can't put these things on video. Now, I had instances where, I had a brother, and, when he would take a shower, I would bust up in there with the video camera and just to bother him. And, I would record it and show it to company when they came. But, that's all fun and games. When it comes to beating your children, I don't know how I would have reacted if my mom or my dad or my stepdad pulled out a video camera when they started giving me whoopings. And I done got plenty of whoopings. I done got a lot of whoopings in my day. But if one of them would have pulled out a video camera and then it just got on the internet some kind of way, I don't know how I would feel about that one. I had a friend of mine that he actually had a nephew that did something in school. So he shaved off his hair, shaved off his eyebrows. He made him do some kind of military push-ups, jogging. He had that on video, put that on YouTube. That brother had to go to court. If you Google him right now, that will pop up right now. That's the first thing. This brother is a very educated. He's doing a lot in the poetry. He's actually taken Orlando far when it comes to poetry. But if you Google his name, first thing pop up is he has some videos cutting off eyebrows and everything to that nature. So, why do we put these things on video? That's where I feel like you need to have a slap on the wrist type punishment, because you don't need to be putting that on video. That's between you and the child.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I looked it up. I looked up the sentence or the potential charge, if convicted, that he may face. And we're talking about a minimum of 6 months in jail is what the charge is, because they label it as and there's different levels, but the lowest level it could get labeled as is a misdemeanor, first degree misdemeanor. So minimum 6 months in prison is that minimum sentence on that. So he spends 6 months in prison because he's simply trying to protect his daughters or prevent his daughters from doing something silly. Because we all know at 12 or 13, you have no idea of the concept of what putting a video on Facebook or the internet in general is going to do for you moving forward in your life. Because, they don't comprehend the concept that once that video is there, it's there.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. You have now permanently attached yourself to a video showing you shaking your behind on the video. You know what I'm saying? At the age of 12 or 13. So now when you're 20, somebody can go back and say, oh, so at 12 or 13, you were shaking your behind on the video. Mm-hmm. And or any teenager for that matter, does not comprehend that that's the case and the lifelong effects that it has. I mean, even at 20 and 25, even in 2013 at 20 and 25, they're not realizing the effects that these videos have and putting them on the internet. So, was he a little bit extreme? Maybe. But at 12 or 13, they were a little bit extreme. So you got to meet the extreme with the extreme.
You got to match crazy with crazy.
You got to match crazy with crazy so they don't repeat crazy again. And that's how I feel about it. I think it's unfortunate that the charge that's going to happen or potentially happen,
I don't know.
I think it was validated.
But at his age, why are you putting a video of yourself beating your kids and you 40 and 50?
Well, then we don't know if he did it. Obviously, somebody was holding the camera.
Thank you. And
somebody
you knew.
Let me say this.
You knew somebody was holding the camera.
They put the video on the internet, so why can't I put my video on?
Because you are 40 and 50.
I'm gonna show you who the videographer in this family is.
You know better though.
Hey,
And I'm crazy with crazy, and I'm gonna show you who's the one.
I don't agree with that one.
And I'm gonna show you who's the one.
You got a career to keep.
I bet you. If he beat these charges, I bet you they won't sneak out the house again.
Now even if he don't beat the charge, I'm going to prison for 6 months. I bet you won't sneak out this house again.
So, hey, point taken.
I think it is point taken. I think even if he goes obviously I don't want him to go to jail. I don't think he should go to jail. But even if he goes to jail, I think the point is even proven even further.
Exactly. I go to jail over that.
These are the extents I'll go to in order to make sure you're not doing foolishness. 407-894-1680 is the number. This is National Child Abuse Month. And, I was doing some research, looking at some statistics. And so, I don't want to make light that child abuse doesn't happen. I just think in this case, it wasn't child abuse. And you may disagree. That's fine. With me, I have no problem with that. But 407-894-1680 if you want to. So I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the stats that they have related to child abuse. Because, again, child abuse is a serious crime. It does happen. Again, I just disagree that this is the case to highlight child abuse for. One of the things that struck me as interesting, though, and when I thought about it, it did make sense, but the percentage of children under the age of 4 that were experiencing some type of abuse. When you look at the numbers, that was the higher percentages were for children under the age of 4. Like I said, logically it makes sense. They can't say anything. They can't respond to whatever abuse is happening to them. So it makes them, an easy victim. But just the thought that people on a higher percentage are doing things to 2 and 0, and 1 and 2 and 3 year olds. It just kind of took me off guard for a second that was happening. And then what you basically notice is a progression. The older the child got, the lesser percentage that there was in terms of abuse. Okay, and so and they broke it down by. Oh, I'm sorry. They broke it down by age group. So it started at 27%, then it went to 19, 16. 16 was 68, 9 to 11 was 13, 12 to 14 was 12.9, and then 15 to 17 was 10% of the victims. Now, all these stats come from 2011, but again, still pretty interesting stuff, I thought. And then, of course, as you'd expect, when you looked at it by race, of course, whites are going to have a higher percentage. They make up a higher percentage of the population. But the African Americans and Hispanics were not too far behind. They were right around 20%. Some of the other things I found interesting as well, medical neglect. And neglect seemed to be the higher percentage of the type of abuse that these children experienced, especially the younger ages. Neglect was the highest percentage of abuse they experienced. And then, of course, as the children got older, the older children had a higher percentage of sexual abuse, which, that again, when you think about it logically, that kind of makes sense because, again, the younger children aren't going to be able to speak up. The older children, the predators out there, are going to be more interested in bigger, quote unquote, things than just simple neglect, because a 14-year-old could typically fend for himself if he has to. Typically, a resourceful one. I think Brother Jeremy was a resourceful 14-year-old. Is that right, Brother Jeremy?
How old were the Catholic boys? That's what I would know. Them Catholic, what the usher boys? How old are they?
The altar boys.
The altar boys. They
I'm
usually.
not sure.
I don't know exact ages, but
they
I
don't be
believe
saying nothing.
They're early to preteens usually. Like that 13, 14, maybe.
The age
I think some be a little younger though. I
11,
think they would go.
somewhere
Some
in
be
there.
8, 9 years old. But it'd be a thing too though, because like they say with abuse anyway, it'd be a situation of authority, and especially if you're in church, and depending on your household, if you're not questioning the priest or the pastor, or if it's not like y'all don't question him. If he's doing these things, whether they're wrong or not, and how who knows what his father is. They follow with gifts and different things like that. You just don't know. I haven't been abused, so I can't put myself in that mind frame to say, this, that, and the third. I don't think I would. I think I would say something to say that, especially at that age, But, like I said, but that they didn't grow up in my house, so I don't know what their mindset is. So.
Mm-hmm. 407-894-1680. Some of the other stats that kind of took me by surprise. Mothers actually have a higher percentage. They call it victims by perpetrator relationship, and mothers had a higher percentage of perpetrators compared to fathers, almost by twice as much. And so I don't know, maybe when you think about society today, I know there's a lot of single parent homes. I don't know how much that kind of contributes to the numbers. But I did find that interesting. I would have assumed anyway that you'd find more males being perpetrators than females. I would think the mother was a little bit more protective. Is that right? Just a little bit.
Of the babies.
That's right. So again, just child abuse. Again, I don't want to make light of it in terms of the case that we referenced, because again, I think in that particular situation, I just disagree with that being child abuse. But it is a real issue. This is Child Abuse Awareness Month. If you know of a victim of child abuse, please refer them to the proper resources so that they can get out of that situation and get that child out of the situation. And so it is a serious issue. The other thing I kind of looked at is my first question was, when did it become Child Abuse Month? And I found out that happened in the 70s. So I guess we've been doing this for quite some time. But please look out for the children. somebody's got to do it because they certainly, in some situations, cannot do it for themselves. But we will move on from this particular issue. Do me a favor, Jeremy, give me the number before we leave that you can call if you need, if you have to report any kind of child abuse that may be happening.
911.
Well, there's always an emergency situation, but they do have
Other resources.
Them the only 3 numbers I need right there. 911, what's your emergency? I know somebody being a victim of child abuse. It's that simple. Just call 911 if you know anybody that's in that situation and you don't want to be a part of it, but you still want to help. Simply call 911. Let them know what's going on, and you will not be. It'll be an anonymous thing. Trust me. Don't be afraid to step up and speak out about what's going on.
All right. Let's go on to our second story for the night. The second story for the night. We have a caller. Oh,
Yes, sir.
How you doing tonight, sir? What's your name?
Yes, sir. Well, my name is Jimmy Shine. How are you, sir?
Jimmy
I'm doing pretty good, Jimmy Shine.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello, people, good people. I'm listening to the show in the radio. I'm in transit now. Unfortunately, I have to work on Tuesday night, so that's why I don't call in as much as I often do.
I was wondering where you was at last week. I called you out too, Jimmy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know, they switched me over, and people got fired. People got let go.
As long as you got your job, though.
But as long as I got my job, hey. How selfish can you get, huh?
What's your comment tonight, sir?
Well, I heard the part about the president taking the 5% pay cut. That shows initiative. But I got to tell you, I got 2 sisters whose food stamps have been cut off already. The sequester has got them. So I don't really think that, I don't know if that's going to help that the president took a 5% pay cut. They ain't got no food now, and they calling my house, asking for handouts. And I only got so much chicken. Okay, so.
That's what happened when you got a job. When everybody else get fired and you keep your job.
It's called Jimmy. Jimmy got some chicken.
You better start having fish.
Man, I'm telling you, you're raiding some orange groves or something. I don't know. I heard some news, but I don't mean to get off subject. Of course, I'm always off subject.
Go ahead.
I don't mean to get off subject here, but did you hear about Tom Joyner?
What's going on with Tom?
Tom Joyner is getting a divorce.
Yes, I heard about that. I did.
Tom Joyner has been married for 12 years to his lovely trophy wife, Donna Richardson, who's a fitness expert. He's leaving her. He filed divorce in December, and he is leaving his lovely wife of 12 years.
Oh, she cheated on him.
No, I think it's the other way around.
You think he leaving her because he cheated on her?
Yes. The story is there's this 45-year-old woman that Mr. Joyner has taken up with.
No.
And look at. I tell you what. Go to your internet. Look up Tom Joyner divorce. What is her name? I don't remember that woman's name. But anyway, Tom Joyner leaves wife for another woman, and they'll give you the total breakdown. As you know, that show is on standby this week. Tom and the gang are going on a cruise and stuff. So, so that's one of those things. That's for middle class people. You're not poor like me. So you're poor like me, you can't go on no Tom Joyner cruise, okay?
But you got chicken on deck.
Yeah. So, that's one of those things, hey, nobody wants to get a divorce, man. Not today. Because you will get, drained. You will be, living in the street.
Tom should know it's cheaper to keep her.
But I'm sure Tom has a nice, lovely prenup.
He's an old player. He should know better.
He better.
I bet you Tom's going to be all right.
Yes, sir. Well, I didn't know what to do. I'm at my destination. I figure I got about 30 minutes to go. Hey, give the show a call, chime in, find out what you guys what you guys are doing. You guys got anything coming up? Any kind of community situations coming up? Parties? Anything like that?
No, I don't have any no kind of parties coming up, sir. Real quick before you go, tell me, what did you see the video with the father beating his children?
Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity yet.
That is not government involved. Why would Jimmy watch that? That has nothing to do
everywhere, man.
with the government.
Everybody's watching.
That is the kind of
okay. I'll tell you what. What's the name of the video?
coonery and buffoonery.
If you go to the website RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com, I got a link up.
You got a link up. Very well. We will do that tomorrow morning.
All right, then. You have a good night now, Jimmy.
Good night.
Thank you.
That's the kind of videos that kind of take your mind off of what it should be on. That's the video that take your mind off of what's going on in Syria and what's really going on. Jimmy don't watch them videos. Jimmy watching what's really going on.
All right. So, like I said, we're going to talk about our last topic here. So, the last topic, this past week in the Florida House, they passed a bill. They call it the Parent Empowerment Bill is what they're kind of referencing it as. And what the bill does, in its description, it gives parents whose child attends a failing school. So your school that your child goes to gets an F 1 year. That school then gets a F in the second year. And then what it says is if that happens, the parents now have an opportunity to basically offer an opinion as to how the school can be turned around so that they are no longer an F school. Okay, some of the options that the parent can give an opinion about is convert the school to a district managed turnaround school. The second one is reassign students to another school and then monitor their progress of each reassigned student. Third option, close the school, reopen the school as one or more charter schools, each with a governing board that has demonstrated a record of effectiveness. Another one is contract with an outside entity that has demonstrated a record of effectiveness to operate the school. And that was the last one. So those are the options. And again, so what happens according to how the bill reads is the school is proven to be a failing school, and then a petition is created, and then the parents sign off on the petition as to which option they'd be interested in. And then the majority rules that get sent to the school board. The school board makes their recommendation to the Board of Education, and then ultimately the Board of Education decides what will happen with the school. Okay, a lot of controversy because basically, generally speaking, most teacher organizations in the state oppose it, saying it's basically allowing charter schools to come in and take over schools in the district is what they claim is going to happen. Some parent groups are also against it as well for some of the same reasons. They believe this bill is only going to allow, again, charter schools to come in and take over. Charter schools in general have a very iffy relationship, and so a lot of people are very skeptical of them, and so as a result, they're not interested in seeing this particular bill pass. But here we are. It passed the Florida House. It's on its way to the Senate eventually, and we'll see if it passes the Senate and gets signed into law. Now, here's my question. 407-894-1680, 407-894-1680. Now, the concept of the bill, I can't find flaws in the concept, because even when you read the bill, which, again, I put a link up to the bill on the website as well, RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com. When you read the concept of the bill, there's language in there that prevents, because one of the issues that parent groups have is that they fear a charter school is going to come in and basically railroad the petitions into convincing parents to sign up and approve the charter school option. And then said charter school will obviously come in and then open, and then now you have this for-profit business, educating students. That's their fear. But there's language in the bill that is out to prevent that. So could it possibly happen? Sure. But is the language in the bill to prevent that from happening? It's there. So while that may be an issue, the issue is addressed in the bill to make steps to prevent that from happening. So again, conceptually, I just don't find any flaws in it because everything is set up to basically give parents an option when their child is attending a school that clearly is not working based on the grading system given by the state. I can't find flaws. 407-894-1680 is the number, 407-894-1680. The other thing, of course, if you look at the voting on this bill, it pretty much went down party lines. If you're a Democrat, you voted no on the bill. If you're a Republican, you voted yes on the bill. So there's another issue out there. But I just don't see the flaw. I know you guys read the bill too, and I just explained it to you. What do you think? 407-894-1680. Go ahead. You got a comment, Ms. McCray?
I think it's a smoke screen. Like, it looks good on paper, but I think in theory, when they apply it and they implement it, it's going to be all kinds of trouble. And looking at some of the states who already have passed a similar bill, specifically California, they're dealing with issues right now because of this. And I can't remember the actual name of the company, the charter company that took over one particular school in the neighborhood.
Green Dot, I believe it was.
Okay. Found out that, they thought that maybe there's one part where you can get a petition and you have a whole bunch of names and you send this petition up to the committee to reevaluate the school system. They say some of those names were forged. They were making up names just, again, to push the agenda to take over this school for this private company who's for profit to come in and use education for profit. And it's not really about the students. It's about their pockets. And anything, I side with parents, but with teachers as well. I think it's more complex than just to say, oh, it's an F school, we're going to take away the principal. It's an F school, I'm going to take my kid out. Well, that's an option, definitely. But because it's the parents, what is the parent doing to prepare their student for a class? What is the Board of Education? What are their standards? Like with this FCAT, is that really teaching kids or is that teaching them how to take a test? So I think it's a bigger issue than just to say, oh, it's the principal's fault, it's this teacher's fault. The reform needs to happen all around. And I'm kind of shaky on this bill.
It was Green Dot was the name of the charter school company in California. And I saw a lot of the issues that they had in California, which again, were basically because the charter school, or at least the lobbying group for the charter school, is the one that set up a lot of the petitions and doing the petitions. Like I said, one of the things, I think in the Florida bill version of this, again, they addressed that. They addressed and they put in there, it'd be illegal for the charter school or a company representing the charter school or being funded by a charter school to even participate in creating petitions. And one of the other provisions that they put in there is that the Board of Education has to approve any petition that's sent out to parents before it can actually get sent out. So the checks are in place, if you will. Now, I agree. There's room for error there, but there'd be room for error even without the bill. There's room for error because I'm sure these companies are in their ear even without this particular bill. So I mean, the error is going to be there regardless. But in terms of language, all you can do in the bill is put the language in there to prevent this. The language is there. The language is there. I can agree that no school turnaround situation can simply be created or fixed by removing a principal per se or removing 2 or 3 teachers. But I think the point of the bill is to give that parent more of a voice. That's what I see the point of the bill is giving that parent more of a voice, because if your child is at this F school and in general theory they're not progressing, you're probably frustrated at home as a parent that they're not progressing. The school's frustrated they're not progressing. So it's just giving you a voice to say, hey, what do you think we could do to help this out? Here's some options. What do you think about these options? And again, it's giving you a voice, because if the school was doing great, you wouldn't really have a voice. You have a voice as far as who you put in, in terms of the school board, but once they're there, you lose your voice really because they're doing what they want to do. And so here in this situation, you're given a voice to say, this is what I think, here's our opinion. And again, it's not that that's going to rule because it still has to go through the Board of Education, but it's giving you that voice. 407-894-1680 is the number. What do you think over there, Jeremy?
I think that now the idea of parents having a voice in the field in school is that's a good idea. I do believe that is a good idea, but I didn't totally read the bill, so I can't say in detail what it says. But things like this, when provisions are put in, say, oh, a private company can come in and do anything that's publicly funded, to me is a problem because you just don't know who's behind it. I mean, like you said, well, especially if they're a company for profit, because at the end of the day, they have a bottom line. And that's what it's about. And to me, when you're trying to mix that, and I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's a fine line when you're mixing that with education, especially when you're talking about adolescents.
Okay, but
and there's no tuition involved.
Not to bag on for-profit schools, but
no, that's what I'm saying. I say it's a fine line. Now, if you're somewhere and you're paying tuition, and it's for profit, that's a little different. But in this case, I mean, if it's a public school and a for-profit company or institution or whatever you want to call it comes in, it's like, well, how is that going to work?
Well, typically what happens, generally speaking, what happens is the district would use funding, because I mean, obviously, if it was a school owned by the district, and then the district, let's say they approve the option where a charter school comes in, essentially funds that would have been dedicated to that school will now get funded into this for-profit institution. For-profit charter school is what happens. So it's getting funded by the district is what's happening. Mm-hmm. So you have a for-profit school being funded by the district. But, the thing, I don't really have a problem with charter schools. I think everything is about results. So that if you're a school, no matter if you're charter or public, and you have a proven record of results, I don't really see the problem either way, because it's about results. If you're getting results, then do what you do. If you're not getting results, then you shouldn't be there. So it's no different from the failing F school that the teachers and the principal and the administration and school board are not getting the results that they want out of that school. Well, if a charter school can come in and then actually produce results, I'm all for it. That's what I say. Because it's about results. If the kids are now learning better, I don't know what they may be doing differently or not doing differently, but if they're getting the results that you're looking for, whether they're for profit or whether they are, owned by the school board, to me, I see it as a win-win situation.
A couple of things. Not all charter schools have a level of standards that will equal a public school. Not all of them. So there's some controversy with some charter schools. Second, one of the articles mentioned that this option comes into play after a school has a grade of F 2 years in a row, right? So then here's this option to either move the student, move the principal, or start a charter school. Say this charter school then comes in, they don't perform within 2 years, then what?
Then you got to bounce them too?
I mean, but it's already a charter school. Like, you going to bounce it back to being a public school and then allow them to start it all over? Like, what?
Well, I don't know the logistics of how it works, but if I'm the Board of Education and I allow a school to come in and the school that I allow to come in is not producing results, to me, there's got to be a provision in there, I'm sure, because we're talking about well-funded lawyers here. So there's got to be a provision in there that if they aren't performing at a particular level, that they probably have or would establish a way for them to back out of the charter school deal. It's really no different than the original problem in the first place. you had a school that had, 2 failing grades in a row. You tried to do something to turn it around. What you tried didn't work. So if it's still failing 2 Fs in a row, then it seems like here you go. You got this bill in place to now try another turnaround, if you will. Perhaps I'm assuming I didn't see anything that specifically referenced that situation.
Right. That was the one question that came up in my mind
in the particular pages. But I mean, logically, that seems to be what should happen. Because again, if I'm paying you to turn me around or turn a situation around, and you're not turning the situation around, then you got to go. It's no different than what's happening with JCPenney's right now. JCPenney brought in an executive to turn things around. It's almost 2 years in. He didn't turn it around. He's got to go. So, that's business, if you will. And not that you want to, quote unquote, call a school system a business, but, a school system is a business. So if they're not doing what you need them to do, you have to remove them and start over, unfortunately. But again, that's why you vet. If you're going to bring a company in, I would hope that you're vetting that company. You're vetting them to know what are their past experiences when they come into a school. What are their reading levels for students that have gone through their system? What are their math levels? And what are their writing levels? The things that you're evaluating students on. I'm assuming you're going to vet that company to make sure that they have a proven success record. I mean, it makes sense, Now they may be silly enough not to do that, but I'm going to assume that they're on the school board, they're in the Board of Education, they've thought about these things, and there'd be things in place. So you're not just bringing, I heard Bob down the street, he started a charter school. Hey Bob, you want to try and get this thing to work? Nah, Bob may not be getting a shot just because Bob has a charter school down the street, So I'm assuming they're going to vet whatever they bring in, if that was the option. Again, that's not the option that has to happen. It's just a option on the table.
Right. But my fear is if Bob, he might not be qualified, but Bob might be banking. And Bob can pull the numbers that he needs to pull to make his company then become the charter school. It just has a lot, because these are the questions that are coming in my mind. The bill did not answer those. Folks crazy. They be kind of wiggling and worming their ways and messing stuff up in the name of education, and it's not about the kids. In this case, for charter schools that are for profit.
407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680. Again, it's House Bill 867. If you haven't heard about it, I have the link up so that you can read 16 pages of it on the website RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com. But again, a lot of controversy with the bill. A lot of questions that Ms. McCrae raises is some of the issues that parents are having, teachers are having as well. So, again, I can only look at it for what it reads. I'll plead the fifth on what the snakes in the grass may or may not be doing.
Because they're there.
but which is, again, I'm sure why when you see the vote, again, the vote was basically along party lines.
Yeah.
Republicans for, Democrats against. So obviously most Democrats are seeing the snake in the grass. And some of the history on the bill in Florida, basically a couple years ago, they had brought it to the floor, it got shot down, and now here we are again a few years later, and apparently now they got it through. And so that's some of that history that people questioning about the bill and who's behind the bill and the sponsorship of the bill as well. Again, because, people don't really trust Republicans in today's world. It's like gum on the bottom of your shoe. You just want to get rid of it.
Those your people, J. Real.
That's a good analogy there.
Those your folks. Fox and friends.
My folks. My folks. Everybody want to put them on me. 407-894-1680. So anyway, the bill's out there. Like I said, check it out. RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com is where you can check it out. We only got about a few more minutes left, real quick, just to kind of flow into a little bit more upbeat topic. You guys watched the game last night?
Yeah.
I saw most of the second half. I got home. As soon as I walked in the door, I think the second half just started.
So good game, right?
Good
Yeah.
game.
Louisville.
It was an excellent game.
It was a good
Michigan.
game, and I would say this: I would say I was a little disappointed about some of the calls, but at the end of the day, Louisville deserved it because they just outworked them. They outworked that boy. I think his name was Brennan. If that man didn't grab every rebound that came within 3-4 feet of him, nobody get it. He was the reason they won the game. He should have got most outstanding player because he kept them in the game. Every shot they missed, he grabbed it. And he was the reason they really was on top of them like that.
Well,
Yeah.
When Hancock was shooting the way he was shooting, though, it's a scorer's award, if you will. So the man with the hot hand usually picks up the award, and the workhorse.
It was
he has to
between
stand in the background.
Hancock and Spike. On Michigan's side, he was killing them at first, and then he kind of just went cold. It just was too much. Louisville was just too much for him.
That's why he's supposed to go to the guy who plays good the whole game, not just a half.
And that's one thing about Louisville. They've come back on teams, especially in the last few games. Seems like every single game in the last 2 or 3 games that they played in the tournament here, they found themselves fighting back and fought back every single time.
Yeah, and Michigan was kind of the same way. That's why, they made the run at the end. But, they just didn't close enough to say, Louisville, man, the boys down low, they was just too much for Michigan. They didn't have that presence down there. After the, I think it was McCrary, nobody else was just didn't want it when that ball came off the rim. Like I'm telling that boy Brennan, he was relentless down there. He was grabbing like 3-4 rebounds in a row. He was putting it back, missing it, grabbing it again, and everybody just jumping around him. They might as well stayed on the ground and let them lay the ball up. Maybe they had a few more seconds on the clock to hit a couple of shots.
It was an exciting game. Those boys really played their hearts out, and they were jumping like crazy. I just don't remember these college kids having that much hoop. Like these kids though, especially Siva.
Yes, Siva got some ups.
He's like 5'11", and
some
he
ups.
was up on the rim. It was crazy.
Like they had that bad call when Trey Burke blocked his dunk.
Yeah, that was all ball. That was
All
bad
ball.
call.
That was a bad call. There was a couple of travels they got away with, a couple of fouls, but like I said, at the end of the day, Louisville outworked them, so
And
they deserved it.
right now, Louisville's women's team is playing
Getting
UConn.
the brakes
but
beat off
yeah,
of them. That's
they're-
what
They're losing. It would have been cool if the men's and women's team both won their championship games, but I don't know. They got a lot to overcome in this second half, and knowing UConn, they're not going to let up. So
No.
it might not work for Louisville.
Not Louisville, I'm sorry. UConn women, they got hot at the right time.
Yeah, Gino's, this will be his 8th championship. He will tie my girl Pat Summitt. That hurts my heart because I want her to kind of keep that record.
Keep that record.
Yes.
All records are eventually go down, though.
They are.
All records eventually go down.
That was her nemesis, though.
And
UConn.
nothing stays forever. And even though she may not have it outright herself, I think she's still gonna go down in the history books. And 50 years from now, they'll be talking about Pat Summitt and what she did at Tennessee. So.
Well, the thing that Summitt will always have over Gino is the longevity, and she basically built the women's game. She put the staple. She is one of the main reasons that we're sitting here talking about women's college basketball because it used to be an afterthought.
Pretty much.
It was like, okay, yeah, Cheryl Miller's good. Oh yeah, I forget Nancy Lieberman back in the day, in the late 70s, early 80s. She was good. Cheryl Miller, okay. And then she came along and just really, just really building it up. But
Definitely.
Hands down, my favorite coach of all time.
Yeah, I'm mad. I wanted my daughter to go to Tennessee and play for her.
Bless her heart.
One quick note: Trey Burke going to the NBA this year?
We don't know yet.
I think he's gonna stay. I think he
He-
needs
Is
at
he
least
ready?
one more year.
He needs to go.
You think he's gonna leave?
From a financial standpoint, this would be his best time to go because
Well, yeah.
player of the year, all that kind of stuff, he needs to go.
But will he play? I don't think
he gonna play. He
I
gonna
don't,
get a shot now.
I don't think he's ready. I mean, he's good in college, but I don't think he's quite ready for the NBA. And looking at his game last night, I was thinking that. I'm like, no.
He was wore down. He was getting beat down last night.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's
He's
ready.
not
Because
quite
he's it's not like he's gonna get. I would like this. He can shoot. He can distribute. He got what he need. You know, it's nothing else. Only thing he can come back next year and do is win a championship. That's it.
Well, we'll see what happens, man.
We'll see.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next week, 9 p.m. Real Family Talk. This is WOKB 1680. RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.